I was extremely active, had no clue I was carrying this cancer in my body.
We were walking and I slipped and fell on the sidewalk, broke my kneecap.
There's a study that says that there's a 14 times more likely chance of falling.
The abuse was way too much.
What if one of the most powerful tools for protecting your body, supporting your mind, and improving your future was something we could all start today? Not perfection, not extreme training, not becoming something else, just movement. In this episode of The Pulse, we explore why an active lifestyle matters so deeply, not just for athletes, but for cancer survivors, for older adults, for teenagers, and for every one of us who wants to live longer and live better. Because movement is not just exercise, it's medicine, it's freedom, and it's hope. We hear all the time that staying active is good for us, but what does that really mean exactly inside the body, and how much movement does it actually take to make a difference?
Basically, once you become more sedentary, the body is not getting the blood flow it needs, especially the organs, and in particular the brain, which the blood-brain barrier is replenished, and you're really plugging holes with movement. As one example was, in one study showed that people that are less physically active compared to those that are more physically active have a 42% higher chance of dementia and Alzheimer's. The joints in particular, we've probably heard motion is lotion. The joints are lubricated. The heart is actually producing more circulation and reducing plaque, and we're having less effect on blood pressure and high cholesterol. Just small increases in daily steps can reduce the progression of Alzheimer's. There's one study with 72-year-old average age women where increasing steps from 2,700 steps per day to 4,400 steps per day actually improved longevity. So it's not about volume, it's about taking small steps wherever you're at, try to do a bit more, and you'll receive the benefits of that type of movement. According to the NIH, 3 minutes every 60 minutes can have a beneficial impact on well-being.
That might be one of the most encouraging truths in this conversation. You don't have to become a marathon runner, right, to change your health. Research continues to show that even modest movements, the smallest thing, can support the heart, the brain, the joints, mood, and long-term independence. And just as movement helps the body function better, too much sitting can slowly work against it.
Well, we all have to sit for work, and we have to sit when we watch TV. It compresses the spine, it impacts posture, it reduces blood flow to the organs, it impacts the joints. So sitting does have an impact. The more we move, the more our body's going to replenish resources. Think about it as blood nourishing and bathing with oxygen the various muscles and organs in your body. So by moving, instead of dripping, if you think about watering something, instead of dripping your garden, we have a spray and a hose that's really nourishing and bathing to help things thrive. And in human beings, that's our organs and that's our body.
But statistics only go so far. To truly understand the value of movement, sometimes you have to hear from somebody whose life was changed by it in the most personal way possible. For Lisa, staying active was part of her identity long before cancer. What she could not have known was how much that mindset would end up carrying her through the fight of her life.
So before cancer, I was a very active individual. I golfed, I hiked, I played pickleball, I'm a walker. I am the individual you hear coming before you see me. People have always told me we could hear the pitter-patter of your footsteps because I'm always moving, whether it be at work, at the gym. I love to be active. Running around the house with my grandchildren is a passion of mine. When I first learned about my cancer diagnosis, it is a silent cancer. I had been on a vacation. It was a week-long vacation where I was whitewater rafting over Class 5 rapids. The only one that stayed in the boat was me to go over the rapids. Everybody else chose to get out before they went over the rapids. I was the only one that jumped from the cliffs. I was extremely active, had no clue I was carrying this cancer in my body. The night I returned home from that vacation, I actually ended up in the emergency room.
Lisa was doing everything many of us imagine active, healthy people do. She was moving, she was traveling, challenging herself, and fully living. And then, without warning, Her world changed, and like so many people facing a life-altering diagnosis, she suddenly had to redefine strength.
And it was on imaging that not only did I have an ovarian mass, but I also had tumors all over my, what they call your omentum. This was an advanced cancer. And it was that moment that I allowed myself to cry a little bit and jumped right back on the horse in a couple of days and starting in, and within a week, I was well on my way to achieving what I now consider a success story. Even though I'm not through, I know I'm going to be a success story. And that in itself, your mindset and where you project your mind during a journey like this is really important.
What Lisa describes here is something that we hear often in healing journeys. The body goes through treatment, but the mind and the spirit go through a battle too. And for her, movement became more than physical. It was a way to stay connected to life.
I have undergone 6 rounds of chemo, a 10.5-hour surgery where they removed all tumors within my abdomen, pelvic area. All through that, exercising, engaging in mind, body, and spirit, doing my semi-yoga because they don't want me to do a lot around my abdomen, deep meditation. I'm a very spiritual person, and I have my walk with Jesus is very strong. Through all of that, this last visit with my oncologist, there was some discussion about reoccurrence, which was alarming to me. Having gone through all of that, you hate to hear those words, reoccurrence. And when he told me there was a 40% chance of reoccurrence, I had a pity party for a moment, but then I realized there's 60% of the people that will not have a reoccurrence. And through my mind, body, spirit, my whole journey, I've had such a healthy mindset. I think that in itself allowed me to envision me within that 60%.
Lisa doesn't deny reality at all. She faces it, but she also chooses where to place her focus. Now, that mindset is not denial, it's discipline, and discipline over time can become healing.
Every day is a gift. I should be living every day as if it were my last. Cancer gave me the will almost to get up off the sofa, turn the Netflix off, and get out in the sunshine. The moment I think I reconnected with my body was the day of surgery. I remember laying in the bed, and the first individual in my room was an occupational therapist who walked in with energy, a smile, and a welcome I'll never forget. Gave me an inspiration. She gave me the strength to get out of bed the same day surgery. And I recognized how incredibly strong, not only my body, but my mind was to get through the next phase of this. My body is an incredible machine, really.
For many people, a health crisis changes the way that they see movement forever. It's no longer about appearance. It's no longer about performance even. It becomes about gratitude and function, about being here.
Now, after cancer, I actually listen to my body. So I'll give you an example of that. And it comes typically the 3rd day after chemo. I start to get a lot of body aches, and I actually allow myself to rest, which is so unheard of. Before, I would just push through it and get up and move, thinking I'll push this out of my body. But now I recognize that's my body telling me it's time to rest, Lisa. And I allow myself to. And so that might look like a day home. Movement is a gift. So even if it's getting up to get a glass of water, my kitchen, at my sink, there's a window. And I find myself gazing out the window to see if there's a new flower, a new bloom that's come on my hedge. And that just brings me joy. It's colorful. I look for that. That just gives me life.
That balance matters too, because being active is not about punishing the body, it's about partnering with it, knowing when to move, knowing when to recover, knowing that both are part of health.
So when I think about the definition of strength, pre-cancer and now, I know exactly what that means for me personally. being in a gym pre-cancer and the guys handing me more heavy weights, going from 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, that's strength. Pre-cancer. Now there's a connection. There's a connection between what my head is telling me, what my body is telling me, and physically what I'm capable of doing, and allowing myself to be okay with that. So 15 pounds isn't strength to me anymore. Movement is strength, not the weight I was carrying in the gym pre-cancer.
Lisa's story reminds us that movement isn't reserved for the healthiest among us. In many cases, it's part of what helps people heal, adapt, and keep going. But her story also raises a very important question. What exactly is happening inside the body when we move? And why does it matter so much over time?
Movement helps the body in chronic disease because of how it's impacting and stimulating organs and the body and the body's systems, essentially. So the heart's pumping more blood, there's more circulation, it's reducing plaque. The blood-brain barrier in the brain, which actually with movement, you plug the holes in your blood-brain barrier, which helps with cognition. It also stimulates hormones that can help with anxiety and other types of mental health and behavioral health issues. So there's a number of benefits, and one recent study by the American Heart Association that an extra 5 minutes per day can reduce blood pressure.
So this is often where science becomes practical. We often imagine health advice has to be complicated, right, in order for it to be meaningful. But some of the strongest recommendations are also the simplest.
The sit to stands is probably the most important exercise there is.
And I'm going to demonstrate the sit to stand. It's a good test for strength, lower leg, lower extremity strength, but a great exercise to help you keep moving and keep moving with confidence. So first of all, place a chair at your home, no wheels, up against the wall, make sure it's secure. And the most important thing here to do is make sure you are seated with your back away from the chair a little bit, and you're going to cross your arms across your chest. Now, typically most of us as we age use the armrest to get up. If you can avoid that and do this exercise, if you can, now if you have to use the armrest, please do. You'll find over time you'll use them less. But basically, this is a great test. If you can't do 5 of these in 15 seconds, then you're at risk for a fall, but at least you know that you have to work towards something. But essentially what you're gonna do, lean forward a little bit and you're gonna go straight up. And then you're gonna sit back down, that's 1. When you go back up, that's 2.
Now, we've seen here at Desert Oasis Healthcare, even with patients that started a low number, and just by doing these exercises every day or even a few times a week, we saw that score increase. So that's lower body strength, which is really important. But I would also say balance. Simply standing in front of a chair or at a counter and closing your eyes, be safe, and understanding how that feels. That sensation is important for the sensory system. And also, if you're feeling comfortable, you can hold on and lift one leg off the ground. Those are simple things that can be done. I know some people actually, when they're brushing their teeth, they lift one leg. So those types of things are important to build that confidence.
You don't need the perfect schedule. You don't need special equipment. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone. You just simply need to start.
Any physical activity is good. So I think you have to start by just think about we need to move. We need to do something. I feel sometimes people are scared thinking about having to go to the gym or having to start a workout routine. But as long as you move, you should be okay, and then take it from there. So walking would be something very easy that anyone can do, either outside on a treadmill. I know it's hot in the desert, so it could be early in the morning or inside on a treadmill. Cycling, stationary bicycle is good, swimming is good, and then you can go from there.
For people who aren't physically active, what do you think or what do you see are some of the biggest barriers that stand between them, or the reasons they share with you that they're not active?
I would say pain is very, very common. That's one of the main reasons people are afraid to start exercising. Back pain starts to flare up, knee pain starts to flare up, or they haven't started because it just can't. So that would be one of the main limiting factors, and that's something I try to help them here in primary care, is if you cannot exercise because you have a medical condition, let's try to make that medical condition better. Sometimes it's difficult to resolve it, but make it better and then start moving and exercising.
For many adults, especially older adults, the barrier isn't laziness, it's pain and fear. It's not knowing where to begin. And that is why guidance really matters. Safe movement matters. Support matters.
It's any sport, you always warm up first, stretch a little bit, and then start the sport. Falls are very common, especially in the older population, because of lack of movement and weakness of legs and in your core. So I think the most important things to prevent falls is have a stronger core, stronger muscles. That way, if you're about to fall, you can kind of catch yourself and regain your balance.
Watch out for environmental hazards. Throw rugs if we're older and we're getting up in the middle of the night a lot. Night lights are important. Removing any kind of throw rugs or anything that can trip you up is very important also. As I mentioned, balance is important because if we want confidence and reduce the fear of falling and being able to socialize, we want to make sure our balance works. And I think people underestimate the power of addressing your sensory system by doing very simple things like standing with your eyes closed. And also the lower extremities. The legs are what are going to keep you moving. So it's really important to build that leg strength, and doing chair stands once a day, 3 or 4 times a week, will help build that leg strength. Another example and tip is wearing shoes indoors. There's a study that says that there's a 14 times more likely chance of falling when barefoot or wearing socks inside a home. So if you're someone that doesn't want to wear your outdoor shoes inside, have some indoor shoes, but it will make a difference.
An active lifestyle looks very different in every season of life. For some, it's survival. For some, it's prevention. For others, it's identity and routine, joy, even emotional resilience. And nowhere is that more clear than when you look across generation. Harold sees movement not as a burden, but as part of a meaningful life.
I always liked to walk a lot. And as I got into my 40s, I would do an exercise machine and just have continued with that through now with a rowing machine and also walking every day from 2 to 3 miles a day. Well, just being outside in the morning, early morning, hearing the birds. There are a lot of mockingbirds around here, and that just amazes me with their songs that they tweet out. And I'll meet people on the street as they're walking too, and it's always good morning, how are you? So it's to me, it's always good to get out and get the fresh air. That's why I really enjoy walking. My mother lived to be 91, and she would get out and walk every day. And she lived in Missouri, even in cold weather, she would get out. She knew this one lady who said, I don't want to rust out, I want to wear out. And so I thought that was a good motto to have. So that's my plan. I can't imagine the thought of not being able to get up off the couch or being able to go outside and walk or do things that I enjoy doing outside and exercising inside. I just can't imagine that.
There's something very beautiful about Harold's approach. It's not flashy or extreme, it's very steady, right? And it might be one of the greatest lessons of all, that longevity is often built in ordinary routines repeated every day with purpose.
About 3 years ago, we were walking and I slipped and fell on the sidewalk, broke my kneecap, had surgery, and then within a couple of months I was back walking. It really didn't affect me all that much. Of course, I cannot bend my knee quite as much as what I could before the break, but it's still in good shape. Like when I'm walking, you have to be careful because there are sidewalks that parts of the sidewalk have raised or whatever. So I look down a lot and know what the terrain is going to be before I get there so that I don't trip and fall, because that wouldn't be good.
He's also a cancer survivor. 10 years later, he continues to believe that caring for his body, staying in motion, and keeping a healthy mindset have all played a very important role in helping him stay well.
Every year we have a wellness checkup with DOHC, which is very beneficial, and I'm so grateful that we have that. They do the whole thing. And then with my having the cancer, I have an oncologist that I see every 6 months They do a blood draw and check to see that everything is going okay, and so far it is. Having 10 years of remission, I think, is pretty remarkable, and I hope to continue in that manner.
And then on the other end of the age spectrum, movement can shape identity in an entirely different way. For Haley, being active has meant strength and discipline and teamwork and confidence, but it's also come with a lot of pressure.
I know this was a fun extracurricular activity, but it also obviously, I mean, you're very toned, you're very fit. Tell me the way that it made you have a healthier lifestyle being a cheerleader.
I feel like it made me want to eat better too, because you get muscle from doing cheer because you're doing all these different things and you're there all the time. So it kind of made me want to eat healthier so that I could be more toned. It made me feel like strong. I'm a girl and I have muscles. That was like a big thing for me, like being super strong.
How does that make you feel stronger as a woman?
It makes me feel very proud of myself. I feel proud that I have a good, strong body. It makes me want to push myself more to be more stronger, to keep working out and to keep seeing these changes in my body where, wow, I have muscles. It feels good. It feels good. It taught me to really push myself, especially because if you don't do your part, then you just get taken out of that spot. So it's really hard too. You feel like you're not good enough, but it just really taught me to just believe in myself. If I do get taken out of a spot or something, then that's where I need to go that extra mile to push harder to be better. Sometimes you put your mental and physical health to the side just to be in the sport because it is so competitive and you just want to be there, especially because you mess up once and you're out of the spot. So it really pushes you to really be your best at all times, because you really truly never know if that is your last day in that specific spot, especially because it's a go sport. If something goes wrong, then it's automatically they're trying to do something to make it better, or sometimes they don't see the full picture of it, especially with the tunnel vision coaches. Oh, you're doing something wrong, or you're doing something wrong. If you know that you weren't doing something wrong, that's also defeating, because you know you're not doing something wrong, or they're not seeing the full picture. So I feel like it's also hard in that aspect too.
So Haley's story is a very important reminder that being active is not just about physical health. It also intersects sometimes with confidence and self-image and belonging and mental well-being. For young people especially, sports can build strength, but the culture around sports matters too.
I feel like I could never be good enough. It was always, oh, you're doing this wrong, or oh, you're doing that wrong. I was never good enough because it was oh, you're good, but. So it's really hard, especially because obviously you never want to tell yourself that you're not good enough, because obviously that's wrong, especially when you are trying to be the best you can be. It made me feel like I was small, I would never be good enough, or I would never get to be on the level that I wanted to be on. It does become like a bowl of toxicity, because everybody's 2 cents into it. So I feel like it's hard, especially if you don't have those parents who it's okay if you don't get the spot, you need to work harder. And you get those parents where it's well, my daughter didn't get that spot, so your daughter needs to kick rocks, and yeah.
What Haley says here really reaches beyond cheer and beyond one team, beyond one sport. A healthy, active lifestyle should build people up, right? Not tear them down. The goal isn't just performance, it's long-term strength and confidence and well-being.
It's okay to be on a competitive sport at a competitive level, because obviously that's what you want, but I feel like it should be mixed with feeling love and support from your coaches, because that would just make you want to do better for them. You want to make them proud, basically. And I feel like if you don't have that, then it's you feel like you can be easily replaced.
Whether you're 13 or 73, the principle here stays the same. Move with care, move with intention, move in ways that support your future, not sabotage it.
So when young people are involved in these sports, what are some ways that they can really make sure that they avoid injuries as well?
Yes, I think nowadays most children have a coach, and the coaches are very well trained on how to prevent injuries, and if there's an injury, what to do next. But always be careful, warming up, talk to your coach, try to make sure you're using the right equipment. Depending on the sport, if it involves contact like soccer, like football, make sure you protect your head. I know with football we can wear helmets. With soccer, it's a little bit difficult, but always bear in mind that it can cause some head trauma and some brain injuries.
Prevention is so important to Desert Oasis Healthcare. That's why DOHC has this program called Stable Steps to really make sure seniors know how to stay safe and stay healthy when they're being so active in their life.
The Stable Steps program here at DOHC, and it's one that we have nationally with our Upright program, but called Stable Steps here at DOHC, involves a few things. One is giving people what they need where they want. The studies and the surveys at DOHC show that people want support at home. Once patients hit around 72 to 75, they're not as interested in gyms. They would rather do things at home, so it's all phone-based, and it's been very effective. Most people that are over 75 or 80 prefer the phone. Number two is we have a website at DOHC, the Stable Step website, that has videos and exercises based on need. So if you're struggling with curbs and stairs, and you are in a level 2, meaning you use a walker, you can find a specific exercise for your need.
So what does an active lifestyle really ask of us? Not that we all become athletes, not that we ignore pain, not that we push ourselves to extremes. It asks us to stay engaged with our own lives. Move for your health, move for your future, move for the people you love. But most of all, move because you're still here and life is asking you to live it.
Get active now, because activity is going to serve you no matter what. Whether you in the thrust of a cancer journey or just wanting to live to 90 so you can see your grandkids grow.
Keep on moving, keep on living. Every breath is something worth giving. Lift your head and feel the magic. Life gets brighter when you stay active. Through the hard days, through the light, keep your spirit strong and bright. One more step, one more chance, living